I want to, if I can, talk to you about the issue of cost of living, which is such a pivotal one as we head into an election year. We're not far from Christmas, but this energy regulator report, it shows the number of people on hardship payments is up this financial year. Thousands more Australian families struggling to pay the bills. Is this an existential crisis for the Albanese government if there isn't some dramatic shift heading into 2025?
Here and I know, and every single one of my colleagues in the Labor caucus understand that Australians have been doing it tough with energy price rises. No one could have foresaw the effect that the war in Ukraine would have on international energy markets. It's not something that's peculiar to Australia. It's been happening throughout the world. But what we've done is we've tried to make sure that we're providing relief to families and small businesses and households without adding to inflation. That's been the great global challenge in economic terms, trying to get inflation under control in the wake of COVID and the war in Ukraine. And that's been a challenge for every nation. But we think that we've got the balance right by providing that energy bill relief, the rebates. They're very targeted. The first round was targeted. The second round, everyone has received it.
But does the government get credit for that, given how much bills have gone up further? Beyond that rebate, and then you've got rates on top of it. Really, it's a drop in the ocean, that rebate, that support, given how much, and I know many of your own constituents are struggling.
Yeah, that's true. And when I'm out talking to people and door knocking, I think people understand that it's tough times. They appreciate the support that the government's giving them, but nonetheless, we know that people are still doing it tough, and it's a really, really challenging time. But I think it's fair to say, and the Prime Minister's right on this, things would have been a lot worse if Peter Dutton had been the Prime Minister and they'd been in government, because they voted against all of those measures. So you would have had no energy bill relief, and bills would have been much higher than they ordinarily are now. Now, we know that we're not out of the woods, that we've got a long way to go, but I think that the plan is working because there's evidence that the wholesale energy prices are coming off the boil, and that people are recognising that there is some support there to try and get them through this difficult period.
The nuclear inquiry continues today in Gippsland in Victoria. The coalition is adamant they will release detail before Christmas, and all the polls suggest that there is a decent foundation of support in the community for what the coalition's arguing.
Well, we're months out from an election, Kieran, and we still don't have any of the details. We don't know what it's going to cost. We don't know when it's going to come online. And it appears from the inquiry findings that Dan Repicola is chairing that the evidence that's been presented, that a lot of local government areas weren't consulted, a lot of local farming groups in rural areas haven't been consulted. It appears that it's been a rush job and an alternative to try and avoid anything they can have associated with renewable energy. And that's not the way that you plan policy, particularly when you're talking about establishing a nuclear industry. One of the areas that they're looking at is the Hunter Valley. The course of the last 12 months, Kieran, we've had 3 earthquakes in the Hunter Valley. So naturally, residents in those areas are pretty concerned. Don't they deserve to know how the coalition are going to manage a challenge like that before they go headlong into building a nuclear reactor in an area that's susceptible to earthquakes? I think that they're the challenges that we've been trying to expose through this inquiry, and the Liberal Party and Peter Dutton need to answer.
Assistant Immigration Minister Matt Thistlethwaite, thanks. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kieran.